Vanditam Sugatam Adeka Sharanam Yatsiskaram Sridaram Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Devi Tato Goriya Kuram Vaye Bhatto Banariva Prabhata Kakaneo Kura Sankirane Maya Vadatini Kudarakatam Udri Janjivanimam Krishna Prema Sudatigana Sukam Pradat Prabhutam Bhate Namo Kora Kishoraya Bhakta Praduta Murtaye Goram Kripadna Vrinkaya Radha Shavine Vande Bhakti Vinodam Sivora Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Sastraya Samritam Bhagavasa Sudhanidhi Gora Bhakti Shisara Vaishnava Vande Vipavam Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Prematum Vida Vaishnava Vanchakapatarupascha Kripasandhya Epacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha
Why is it recording here? Why is it recording there? It's showing that it's recording. Yeah, look. It was press recording.
Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Madama Dekati Matsava Shampadam Boja Radhamadana Moano Devyat Vinaranya Kapatumada Simat Ratnakari Simastanasto Sri Kandava Sila Govinda Deva Prestalimbi Savya Manosmarmi Sri Man Rasa Rasarambi Bamsi Batata Tastita Kaisam Venus Vanya Gopi Gopinatas Triyestuna Vrindaye Tulasi Devi Priyaye Keshavachacha Krishna Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyavacha Namo Namaha Atanatva Mantam Kurun Kurun Bhagavatartatam Vyasan Jagat Kurunatva Tato Jayam Udirayat Jaya Saparikar Sisi Kuru Kuranga Radha Kiridari Gandharva Govinda Sundara Pada Padmanam Jayastu Jaya Saparikar Sisi Guru Kuranga Radha Kiridari Pada Padmanam Jayastu Samsara Dava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Kayuna Kanakanatvam Praptasya Kalyuna Gunanavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Mitya Gita Bhadrita Madhya Manasora Sena Romanchakam Pasutaranga Bhajo Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Sri Vigrahara Dhanani Janana Sringarata Mandira Madhyanaro Yukta Shabhaktam Chanuyuntayopi Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Yasuvida Sri Bhagavata Sharo Satana Tripta Nari Bhakta Sangha Tripteva Triptin Bhajataksa Deva Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vendam Vande Guru Sri Charanada Nikunjayu no Rakitelisi Jai Jaya Libi Yukti Rapakshaniya Tatati Daksha Tati Balabhasha Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Sakshadari Pena Samasta Shastre Ukasata Bhavyata Eva Sadi Kintu Prabhu Ya Priya Eva Tasya Ame Guru Sri Charanaravinda Ame Guru Sri Charanaravinda Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasha Prasada Nakati Kutopi Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasha Prasada Nakati Kutopi Jayam Stuvam Stajaya Sasti Sanjam Jayam Stuvam Stajaya Sasti Sanjam Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Srimat Guru Rasa Kameta Guru Rame Murte Patati Prayatnat Srimat Guru Yasena Vrindavananata Sakya Yasena Vrindavananata Sakya Devalya Labhya Janusona Deva Devalya Labhya Janusona Deva Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda. What do you say?
Do you want to start reading? I have to buy flowers.
Yeah. Is it on? Makyanati Mirandasya Kyanangina Salakaya Sakshur Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadyaya Krishna Premas Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Koratuse Namaha. Today is the very auspicious day for all of us. It is the day of the celebration of the divine appearance day of Om Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupad. And we're reading a biography, biography of his divine life, the beginning of it from This big book, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, The Life and Precepts of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I start with this pranam mantra that Srila Guru Maharaj wrote for him. That is Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Ti Vidito Gaudiya Guvanvaye Bhato Banuriva Prabhata Kakane Yogora Samkirtane Maya Vada Timinkuladara Katan Udricha Jivanimam Krishna Prema Sudaptikana Sukam Pradat Prabhum Tambaje. In the great Gaudiya Vaishnava teacher's line, as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he is renowned. Like the radiant sun in the morning sky, he appeared to rescue all souls swallowed by the all-devouring impersonal philosophy by spreading the teachings of Lord Gauranga. To sing the holy name of Lord Krishna, he gave all the chance to dive in the ocean of love for Sri Krishna, the Supreme Person. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, my Lord, Divine Master, at his feet do I pray to serve him forever. A divine life. Divinity can be seen by its own light. The transcendental light of Srila Bhakti Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur can be known to us only by his own causeless mercy. For such is the nature of the Supreme Lord and his representatives who come to this world. Srila Prabhupada was an infinite ocean of divine treasure. If we are fortunate enough, perhaps we can touch the waves of that ocean as they lap the shore of our mortal plane. Within that ocean are his innumerable transcendental qualities, such as scholarship, genius, spiritual realization, humility, magnanimity, compassion, mercy, and divine love, to name only a few. The essence of Srila Prabhupada's life cannot be revealed in many volumes, let alone a single chapter, if they are merely a catalogue of facts and figures. It takes the dedication of a lifetime to attain a true glimpse of his message, and his life is his message. We are about to stand in front of a divine personality. We are about to catch sight of that reality, which is eternal and infinite. Yet in our meeting with the eternal, we have to retrace the footsteps of time, because we must begin somewhere. Childhood, 1874 until 1892. Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur made his appearance in Purushottama Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, in the state of Orissa at 3:30 in the afternoon on Friday, the 6th of February, 1874. He was born in his family home, which was next to the holy site called the Narayan Chatta of Sri Jagannath Temple, and which always reverberated with the chanting of the holy name. He was the fourth son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srimati Bhagavati Devi. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur firmly established the concept of pure Vaishnavism in the hearts of many educated and spiritually inquisitive people of Bengal in the larger part of the 19th century. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a beautiful child with all the bodily symptoms of a great personality that are described in the scriptures. Everyone was amazed to see that the child was born with his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck like a Brahman sacred thread. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur named his son Sri Bimala Prasad, meaning the mercy of the transcendental potency of Lord Jagannath, Srimati Bimala Devi. When Sri Bimala Prasad was 6 months old, Lord Jagannath's annual charity festival took place. That year, the chariot stopped in front of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house and could not be budged an inch for 3 days. So while Lord Jagannath stayed in front of the house, Kirtan was continuously performed there under the leadership of Srila Thakur Mahasaya. On one of these days, Sri Bimala Prasad, in his mother's arms, went to see Lord Jagannath and extended his hands towards the deity as if to offer his obeisance. At that moment, a garland fell from the neck of Lord Jagannath and encircled the child. The crowd was jubilant, witnessing Lord Jagannath's blessing on the child. Amid the tumultuous sound of Haribol, Haribol, Bhaktivinoda Thakur fed Bimala Prasad some of Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad, and thus observed the child Annaprashan, grain ceremony, under the most auspicious circumstances. Sri Bimala Prasad lived in Jagannath Dham for 10 months with his mother. Then they traveled to Bengal and resided first at Ranagata and then at Srirampura. When Srila Bimala Prasad was a small boy, he took a mango without first offering it to the Lord. When his father chastised him for this, he became very remorseful and immediately vowed never to eat a mango again, a vow which he observed his whole life. In 1881, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a house built in Calcutta at Ramgata and named it Bhakti Bhavan. As the foundation was being dug, a deity of Sri Kumara Deva manifested himself from the ground. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave the deity to his son, Sri Bimala Prasad, when he was 8 or 9 years old, and taught him the mantra and the method of deity worship. The child duly started his deity worship with great care and devotion. When Sri Bimala Prasad was in 5th grade, he invented a new method of short hand, which he called Pikanta for Vikrinta, for Frimrita. His teachers were also amazed by his mastery of Bengali and Sanskrit, his extraordinary intelligence and memory, and his pure moral and devotional nature. At this time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him Sri Chaitanya Sikshamrita to read. Sri Bimala Prasad also displayed extraordinary ability in mathematics and astrology. He studied astrology under the tutelage of the famous astrologer Mahesh Chandra Churumani, and impressed his teacher with his mastery of the subject and his exceptional talent. He also studied astrology with Pandit Sundarlal. Seeing his scholarship...
This is warm water. Oh, you've got a hot water.
Seeing his scholarship in many different subjects, including the scriptures, his teachers named him Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, master of scriptural conclusions. When Srila Saraswati Thakur was a student in the 7th grade in Srirampur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him Harinam, the holy name, on Tulasi Mala, as well as Sri Nishinga Mantra. In 1885, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur founded the Vaishnava Depository, a press which was housed in his own house. Srila Saraswati Thakur learned about the printing press and began assisting his father in proofreading. At this time, Srila Thakur Mahasai's magazine, Sajantosani, resumed publication. In that same year, Srila Saraswati Thakur accompanied Srila Thakur Mahasaya on his pilgrimage to such places as Kulingram and Sagragram. At these places, he heard extensive discussions on the holy name. Also in 1885, Srila Thakur Mahasaya established his Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha, great assembly of the Vaishnavas of the world, in the house of Sri Ram Gopal Basu on Praituna Row in Calcutta. Many well-known personalities attended the meetings of the society and participated in discussion. Srila Saraswati Thakur used to carry Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami to these meetings and listen to the discussions there with rapt attention. Srila Saraswati Thakur was not interested in associating with other boys of his age unless they were interested in spiritual matters. His two favorite books were Pratana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. As a young boy, he published books on astrology such as Surya Siddhanta and Bhakti Bhavan Panjika. In the afternoons, he spent hours debating about religion and philosophy with other students in Calcutta's Bidan Square. Later, while still a teenager, he founded the August Assembly. All members of the assembly had to take a vow of lifelong celibacy. Many educated people, both young and old, took part in the assembly. So I stop here and continue with an article compiled by Jagamohini, our dear God sister Jagamohini, and for this divine advent of glorification of Om Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it is a compilation of the verses Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj wrote in glorification of his Guru, Divine Master, and it's compiled with other writings from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and she compiled it in a beautiful article. So first verse, I read only the Sanskrit. He of divine form came forth from the birthplace of the golden lotus, the ocean of the mellow of divine concerthood. His large, merciful eyes dispel the suffering soul's fear and proclaim the surrendered soul's victory. His tongue constantly vibrates the whole earth planet with Sri Krishna Sankirtan. His beauty resplendent in the robes of the sun's saffron radiance that purifies the universe and dispels the suffering of material existence. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrisubhanu Dandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. Once, when someone asked why there is so much suffering in this world, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur answered, "The Supreme Lord is saying, I have arranged so much misery, so much pain, so much trouble and danger, not to make you suffer, but to teach you that all this misery is unnecessary, so you will search for the happiness that is eternally desirable, the joy that is eternally adorable. Filled with a deep sense of urgency and with an immeasurable compassion, Srila Saraswati Thakur preached and spread the divine teachings of Mahaprabhu for the benefit of the suffering souls. His conviction was so strong, so uncompromising, that he stated, "If fire burns the whole world, do not waste time trying to put it out. All necessities, all necessities can be met only by serving Krishna." To spread Mahaprabhu's sublime gift and to fight against the spread of a devouring impersonal philosophy, Srila Saraswati Thakur established 64 Gaudiya Math in the 1930s. It was his firm belief that people in general will be struck with wonder when they seriously make a study of Lord Chaitanya's golden gift. He published many transcendental books and said, just as the great external mansion, the Gaudiya Math, has been built, similarly to establish internal Hari Bhajan in this world, quite a few books have to be written and published. The temple which is built within the books and the temple which is within the devotees are more important than the temple built with bricks and stones, because by constructing those temples, Harikatha can be preached in this world much longer. Now we have only procured a seat for Harikatha. We have built a castle to preach about the world by spending someone's entire savings of a lifetime. But we have to protect ourselves in this castle from the association of materialistic people. We have to defend ourselves from the confusion of the age of Kali. So we have to publish and distribute many more books. Only if we can construct the temple in the form of books and in the form of ideal lives can the idea of devotional service remain permanently in this world. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was known to utilize everything in the service of the Lord and the Vaishnava. He did not reject modern technology, but used whatever came his way in his preaching mission. Whatever was necessary for higher service was embraced. He would say, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange Matala Harijana Vishaya Range. For a distance we will give our respects. From a distance we will give our respects. Not that we shall try to bring the higher plane down, but worship from a little distance by constant serving mood. Verse 2. The devotees surrendered in pure devotion are eternally protected at his feet. He is worshipped by the pure souls, endowed with sincerity and good fortune, and he accepts even those who obstruct the service of Sri Hari, just to rectify them. As the very fountainhead of mercy upon all mobile and immobile beings, he crushed the inauspiciousness of the whole universe. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrisabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. Srila Bhakti Rakshitadev Goswami Maharaj said that although outwardly he was like a lion, inwardly He was very, very sweet. Yet it could be traced only in his internal sweetness. Outwardly, the way of love was worshipped by him with grandeur, awe and reverence, but his object was the simple and beautiful divine love of Vrindavan, and his temperament in establishing that in the world was just like a lion's. After his departure, I described his life in one sloka. With his first step, he cut to pieces the whole plane of exploitation, and with his second, he crushed the speculation of scholars of salvation and liberation. With his third, he softened Vaidhi Bhakti with a touch of divine love. Taking us beyond Vaikuntha, he has introduced us to the highest worship of Sri Radha and Sri Govinda. With the softness of Vrindavan within and the hardness of a devastator without, he created havoc in the world, fighting with one and all, single-handedly fighting against the whole world, cutting everything to pieces. That was his external attitude. And his second attitude was to stop the boasting research of the scholars and doctors of different schools of thought. And third, to minimize and slacken the grandeur of the worship of Narayan and establish the service of Radha Govinda as the highest attainment. He caused the domain of love to descend into this plane, with the service of Radha Govinda establishing the flow of divine love from the heart as all in all. That was his history, the real existence of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. May his divine teachings, Bhakti Siddhanta Vani, dance eternally within the core of our hearts. Verse 3. Like a miracle, his body moves with a joyful elegance and charm beyond the world's understanding, fulfilling the artist's aspiration. Or dancing in pastimes transcendental to the world, his artistic form incites divine love's hankering. His intellect surpasses that of even the demigods, and he is nobility incarnate as the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnava sannyasis, the Tridandi Yatis. The sadhus of profound intellect describe the nature of his personality as meticulously in the line of Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, and Sri Raghunath, and they speak of him as being on the same plane as Sri Jivapad, being superbly replete in perfect theistic conclusions. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrisabhanu Dandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. In the beginning, his followers were astounded by the depth and intensity of his devotion. His lectures were so philosophically deep that afterward a few of his intimate disciples would have to explain to the audience what they had just heard, sometimes pounding his fist upon the table and raving about the Krishna conception of divinity. His face would blush like a red lotus, Kuvalya. His divine grace was renowned for his acute intellect. He met with scholars, educators, and leaders. He wrote more than 108 essays and books in which he presented Bhakti as a theistic science. In his deep humility, he saw everything through the eyes of a pure servant. He said, "Those of the Jnana mark wish for being one with God, but we do not cherish any such wrong desire. Our hope is to become the carriers of footwear for servants of Hari, unlike those who adopt Gyan." We do not claim to possess learning nor intelligence. We mind only the truth received from the lotus feet of Sri Gurudev in the capacity of his servants. We do not lay down any new propositions. We say only that we have got to say in favor of the realization of that one truth. Srila Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Goswami Maharaj wrote in beautiful poetic verse that Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur is the illustrious personality to raise the flag that sings the glory of Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan and Sri Raghunath. His glory is sung throughout the world as none different from the powerful personality of brilliant erudition, Sri Jiva. Verse 4. On the bank of Sri Radha Kund as Swananda Sukada Kunja, he is devoted to the service of his beloved, and he is greatly endeared to the divine damsels of Braja, headed by Lalita. He is most favorite to Kamala Manjari, who is preeminent in Vrindavan, and with the glorious qualities of Guna Manjari, he builds the residence of Sri Hari. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrisabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur reminds the searching souls, the living entity is constitutional a servitor of the Supreme Lord. But if we do not always associate with the Lord and his devotees and serve them, then how can we feel close to the Lord? If we are busy with worldly matter, then how can we hear the Lord? Srila Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Goswami Maharaj notes, during the time of my Guru Maharaj's preaching, one newspaper in Calcutta complained, Gaudiya Math is spreading slave mentality to the country. This is most objectionable. This will destroy the military spirit of the land, so that cannot be encouraged to spread slavery. They have no patriotism. What are they? The atheists cannot tolerate the call to come hither and live in Vaikuntha. They cannot tolerate the spread of this poison within the country. But Saraswati Thakur countered, Gaudiya Math stands for the dignity of the human race, not slavery, that human soul, any soul, how from above he can get his chance and he can rise up. Such a prospect a jiva has, the adoration of the Almighty, of Swayam Bhagavan. The greed of the Mayavadi followers is, we are one with Brahman. The higher the Vaishnava is, the more he will say, I am the slave of Krishna and the slave of the slave of the slave of Krishna. Srila Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Goswami Maharaj says, we need this wholesale and radical cure. I do not belong to me. I have my eternal master. We need slave mentality. One day, Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sitting in his bhajan kutir, told the devotees, all the residents of the Math should always be engaged in the service of Sri Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. They should always be engaged in hearing Harikatha and discussing Harikatha. If one becomes averse to Harikatha and Hariseva, then one will again be entangled by one's material desires. Then one's time will be spent in gossiping, criticizing others, fighting with others, and gratifying one's senses. If the residents of the mat do not understand that Vaishnava Seva is the most beneficial thing, then they will not make progress in the realm of devotion. One has to cultivate one's Krishna consciousness by sincerely serving the Vaishnavas and by endeavoring to please the Vaishnava with body, mind and soul. By the petition of a Vaishnava, merciful Krishna will give his mercy to this sinful soul. This we have to remember all the time. Verse 5. He is immaculate joy incarnate. He is the graciousness and joy of Bimala Devi. He manifested the pastimes of his advent at Purushottama Kshetra in the holy land of Orissa, and he revealed his pastimes of delivering the fallen souls and extending his mercy upon them by awarding them the divine gift of divine love of the new isles, or Navadvip, circumambulating Goradam in the same way traditionally done at Brajadam and Purushottamadam. He continuously propagates the loving desires of Braja, the divine abode of Vaikuntha, and the holy name of Krishna. On his day of holy advent, I again and again make my obeisances unto that dear associate of Sri Vishubhanu Nandini and the servitors of his holy lotus feet. Jai Sri Daiti Das Panati Panchakam Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivachakacharya Varya Astotara. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's appearance day today. Ki Jai. Jai Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivachakacharya Varya Astotara Satashishimat. Srila Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Hare Yadaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chanda Kadadara Sivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatara Gunata Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasara Gunat Ejai Kusai Jakori Charana Vandana Yaoite Vignana Sabhita Purana Ejai Kusai Jamurita Dasa Tam Sabara Padare Kumara Panchakat Candela charana se vibhakta sane basa. Janame mohe abhilas. Jai Gosai Kyabe Bhaja Kola